I would like to know what inspired you to write this book.
Well, okay, so I came up with this idea many years ago. I started writing this like in 2009. So it's really hard for me to I have such a horrible memory. It's hard for me to pinpoint exactly what inspired me to get into this. But I think what it started with when I realized I wanted to do fantasy as a writing director, because I'm a writer director. So I wanted to do fantasy, sci-fi, and action. So I wanted to write a fantasy script. And then I started coming up with ideas. And when they tell you to write, scripts, they tell you to write what you know. And when it comes to fantasy, fantasy is whatever you can think of. So instead of writing what I know, I decided to write what I like. And I like fairies and unicorns. So I decided to write about fairies and unicorns. And I had decided by the time I finished building this whole world with all these fairies and unicorns, I might as well have put it all into a book. So I decided to write this book first. And then later on, make it into a movie. So eventually, the plan is to make this into a movie.
Wow.
And it started off with the idea as being like fairy godmothers coming to Earth and finding a special child who had something within them that could make them a fairy, and maybe they could grow up to be a fairy godmother. And somehow that idea turned from being, instead of being several children being special to just one child being special, and instead of her being a fairy godmother to being a fairy princess. So the idea just sort of, just developed in my head. And then eventually I started writing. It took about 3 years to build the world, from 2009 to 2012, just building out the world of magic, what the world looked like, the species, and what type of magic they had. And then I started writing the book.
That's awesome.
That's dedication.
So I guess it's sort of like a comment.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if someone else had wrote the book, if I would picture things differently, because I know the author.
Mm-hmm.
So when Trinette is walking to school, I'm picturing
111.
Yes, me too.
I'm picturing the cleaners when she talks about the cleaners.
Picturing Shoop School.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned some apartment buildings. I'm like, okay, I can't get that in my head. But everything else, I'm just picturing just
You can
that
literally
one apartment
see
neighborhood. So.
And that door in the back.
Yes, that's what I was getting ready to say. The door, and I'm picturing walking back there through the cleaners.
And you can see Trinette walking in the kitchen, sitting there with her godmother. She's asking her the questions.
And I know the godmother has long hair, but she has short hair.
I thought about that today. I thought about that today. That everybody who was going to be here today is going to be picturing Anafine as Anafine.
Yep.
Yeah, she had mama had short hair.
Yeah, because like in my head, I tried to picture Anafine as somebody else. So I tried to put, even though I gave her Anafine's name, I gave her another image in my head. So I tried to picture her as somebody else, but today I was like, everybody there is picturing Anafine. And truthfully, when she's walking to school, I am picturing 111th. I'm picturing Shoop School. Mm-hmm. When she's in school, I am picturing Shoop School. Mm-hmm. I'm picturing it is my world that I'm picturing. The apartments do feel out of place, but I needed them there. So it feels like have you seen Inception? Mm-hmm. So it feels like when I was building that, when I was writing that, it felt like when they was in a dream world, and all of a sudden you need to, something comes out of the ground. So it was like all of a sudden I had to just pull those buildings out of the ground and then place them there because I needed them there.